Good morning. Today we are going to discuss a new topic, that is endocrine system, that is part 1. Here, as we know, there is a major two system regulate or control the all body function. The systems are nervous system and endocrine system. These two systems interact one another and maintain the normal homeostasis of the body. Now the endocrinology. It is the branch of science that deals with the study of a structure and function of endocrine system and the diagnosis and treatment of disorder of the endocrine system. As we know, here the endocrine system involves the secretion of some hormones or chemical substances or chemical messengers. The hyperactivity of these messengers or these hormones or hypoactivity is also lead to some deviation in the physiological function that may cause some that lead to some disease or disorder. That means the endocrinology here, there is a body function that is regulated by these hormones. Here our body, that is mainly two, there is a glands, there is exocrine gland and endocrine gland. Exocrine glands means these are the glands which possess the duct and secrete the secretion through the duct. Example, salivary gland, sweat gland, etc. Then the endocrine gland means the ductless gland which do not possess the duct, that is the ductless gland which secrete the hormone directly into the blood circulation are known as an endocrine gland. Example for the endocrine glands are pituitary gland, thyroid gland, etc. Here the endocrine system is consists of some of the glands. Here the glands like a pituitary gland, thymus gland, then there is adrenal glands, there is ovary, testes, etc. Here there is the main difference between the endocrine glands and exocrine glands. Here the endocrine glands means these glands do not possess duct and pour the secretion directly into the bloodstream. That is the endocrine gland. But in the case of the exocrine gland means these glands possess a duct through which the secretions are poured on the outer surface of the organs of the body. The second difference is the secretion of endocrine glands are hormone, but the secretion of the exocrine glands are enzyme or juices. The third one is the difference is the function of endocrines are the metabolic, growth, balance, etc. The metabolic function means because the thyroid glands that secrete the thyroxine or triiodothyronine, these hormones are some responsible for the metabolic function, especially the pituitary gland that secretes the growth hormone. That is growth hormone has an important role in the growth function and synthesis of proteins, etc. But in the case of the exocrine gland means functions are that is some are related to the digestion and absorption, etc. Fourth function is endocrine glands form a part of the that is a communication system with the nervous system. But in the case of the exocrine gland, these do not form a part of communication system within a nervous system. So the fifth function is the secretion of endocrine gland affect the particular organ, but in the case of exocrine gland shows the action locally only. Examples for the endocrine system, that is a pituitary gland or thyroid gland, etc. Example for the that is the exocrine gland, sweat gland, salivary gland, etc. These are the these are the major comparison between the exocrine glands and endocrine glands. Then what are the, now we move, that is another, that is a section, that is the functions of the endocrine gland. That means the major function of the endocrine men, they integrate and coordinate the various activation of the activities of the body along with the central nervous system. Here they thereby it maintain the homeostasis in the body. Here the second function is that they help in the growth, because the by the secretion of the many hormones, especially the growth hormone by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, and the development of the body. They means they help in the growth and development of the body. They help in the proper digestion and absorption of the food by controlling the secretion of the digestive, that is exocrine gland. They help in the reproductive function. They help in the person to meet the stress and that is the situations and the emergency situation. Some stress hormones may be released, like that is adrenaline during the emergency condition or stress condition, in order to compensate the condition. So that is they help in the person to meet the that is stressful situations and emergencies. Then the other function is regulation of body fluids volume, and its composition is also maintained by this, that is endocrine system. These are the important major functions. Now we compare how the nervous system is controlled or endocrine system is controlled the various activities in the body. Here the characteristics, the main characteristics are like a mediators. Mediators involved in the nervous system is neurotransmitter, which is released, that is released in the synapse by the response of the nerve impulse. Okay. Then in the case of the endocrine system, here hormones are, that is delivered to the tissue through the body by blood. But here instead of the neurotransmitter, hormones are released or secreted in the case of endocrine system. Then we can take the site of the mediator action. Here the case of the nervous system, close to the site of release of synapses, that is the actual position where it is. So in the case of the endocrine system, from the where the hormones release, that is the case of the endocrine system, right? Cells in the case of the where actually it is that is hormones are released, but their action may be far away from where it is actually released. Okay. Then the type of target cells. In the case of the nervous system, like a muscle cells, and there is a gland cells, and other, there is neurons, maybe the type of target cells involved in the nervous system. But here, that is in the endocrine system, the cells throughout the body is involved in the endocrine system. Then time to onset of action, that means when it begin, that is the onset of action. Here in the case of nervous system, especially in the transmission, etc., that may happen within the milliseconds, typically within millisecond. But in the endocrine system, there seem to be hours or days. It will take hours or days. Okay. Then another important characteristic is duration of action. Generally, that is briefer in the case of the nervous system. That means the milliseconds. But in the case of the endocrine system is longer. That is the second to days is happen in the case of the Now we discuss the different glands, endocrine glands, in our body, the name and where it is actually situated. The first one is the name, that is a figure. Just you look the figure and the brain where the pituitary glands are present. It is situated in the hypophyseal fossa of the sphenoid bone, that is tunica of the sphenoid bone at the base of the brain. That means at the base. The second figure, just you go through that is a figure. The second one is the thyroid gland. It is situated in the neck in association with larynx and trachea at the level of the fifth and sixth and seventh cervical and first thoracic vertebra. Then next gland is parathyroid gland. These are embedded in the posterior surface of each lobe of thyroid gland. Next gland is adrenal gland. These are situated one on upper pole of each kidney. Here the adrenal gland has a two-part, that is adrenal medulla, adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex which secrete the mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids, but adrenal medulla, that is secrete adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, etc. Then next one is the islets of Langerhans cells, that is pancreas that secretes the different hormone, that is glucagons and that is insulin, etc. Islets of Langerhans cells that secrete the insulin. These cells, these are the specialized cells. These are found in the clusters irregularly distributed throughout the pancreas. Next one is the pineal glands. It is a small body situated in the brain below the corpus callosum and the posterior to the third ventricle of the brain. Corpus callosum is nothing but it is a bundle of the brain, that is the nerve fibers. It is the corpus callosum. Corpus callosum. It is the brain below the corpus callosum. That is this pineal gland which actually lies in the brain below the corpus callosum and posterior to the third ventricle of the brain. Then testes in male. Here they are suspended in the scrotum by the spermatic cords. The next one is the ovaries in the female. These are situated in one on each side of the uterus, attached to the broad ligament and below the uterine tube, that is the fallopian tubes. Next that is gland is thymus gland. Here the thymus gland, it is the gland present in the upper chest cavity on the trachea. It lies behind the sternum and front of heart and arc of aorta. These are the important gland which secrete the different hormones to maintain the homeostasis in the body or other function. But apart from these glands, some of the organs are also secrete some of the hormones. Example, in the case of the kidney which secretes erythropoietin, thrombopoietin, renin, 1,25-dihydroxycholecalciferol or calcitrol, and prostaglandins, etc. Some heart, it is also secrete the atrial neuritic peptides, and C-type neuritic peptides is also secreted by the heart. Some placenta is also secrete, that is HCG, that is gonadotropin, human chorionic, that is gonadotropin, estrogen, progesterone are also secreted by the placenta. Apart from these hormones, some of the local hormones are also has an important role in some physiological function. Example, that is the prostaglandin, thromboxane, prostacyclin, leukotrienes, lipoxin, acetylcholine, serotonin, histamine, substance P, heparin, bradykinin, and gastrointestinal hormones like a gastrin, etc. The major hormones secreted by endocrine glands are anterior pituitary that secrete growth hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone or TSH hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, FSH hormone, luteinizing hormone or LH, prolactin, etc. Then the posterior pituitary that secretes antidiuretic hormone, ADH hormone, oxytocin. Then thyroid gland which secretes thyroxine, triiodothyronine and calcitonin. Then parathyroid gland that secretes parathyroid. Then pancreas, that is Isles of Langerhans, that secrete insulin. Other cells secrete glucagon, somatostatin, pancreatic polypeptide, etc. Hormones. Hormones is a chemical substances secreted by the endocrine glands. Hormones is a chemical substances that is secreted into the body fluid by one cell or group of cell, and that exerted a physiological or control effect on other cells of the body. The hormones are also called as chemical messengers. Here the hormones are classified according to their chemical nature. They are classified as three types: steroid hormones, protein and polypeptide, amino acid derived hormones. These are the important three hormones present in chemically. Hormones are either lipid soluble or water soluble. Lipid soluble hormones include steroid hormone, thyroid hormone. Then water soluble hormones include amine hormones, peptide hormone, some echinozoids, that means some of the local hormone is derived from the arachidonic acids, example prostaglandin, prostacyclin, echinozoids, leukotriene, etc. These are the example of the water soluble. Now we discuss about the properties of hormone. Hormones are secreted by the endocrine gland. They are chemical substances, proteins, amino acids, steroids, simple and complex compounds. They are needed a very small quantity to carry out their functions. Hormones are released into the bloodstream for transportation to the whole body. They act quite slowly except when their action is needed to meet emergencies such as anger, fever, excitement, etc. Then hormones are always have a specific site of their function. Then one hormone may control synthesis and secretion of another. For example, there is some of the thyroid stimulating hormone that may control the secretion of the thyroxine from the thyroid gland. Another one is both the deficiency and excess are transformed for the body. There is if the deficiency that may cause some disease or disorder, excess that may also cause some disorder or disease. That means both conditions are harmful for the body. But here there is thereby the concentration of the hormone should be optimum. They are consumed in a function, and every time fresh amount is produced. That means that each hormone has its own half-life is there. Thereby for the new action that means that produce the fresh amount of the hormone. They are usually not effective at the site of their secretion. The secretion is influenced by the time of the day, night, season, day-to-day environmental fluctuation also. When compared with an enzyme, some of the hormones, example insulin, are also secreted in the inactive state called as a prohormone. Example for the prohormone is proinsulin before acting at a specific site. These are the important properties of the hormone. Compared to the enzyme, that here the enzymes are nothing but chemical substances, but these are protein in nature only, but they are produced mainly by the, or secreted mainly by the exocrine glands. And the enzymes are, most of the enzymes have a local action only, where it is actually produced, that place that may produce some local action. Then enzymes are mainly in the digestive and absorptive, that is conversion function. That means the complex material is converted to the simpler one. Then examples of enzyme, that is enzymes are pepsin, trypsin, etc. But the examples of the hormones are, that is parathormone, thyroid hormone, that is antidiuretic hormones, oxytocin, etc.